watching, we are getting ready to go live. We are live. So if you are watching, let us know where you're joining from. And Ty, I always love talking to you and hanging out with you. And I can't wait. We're going to start at about 4 o'clock. And we have a riveting conversation, which is the work that Ty does at FamilySearch. And I believe it's computer assisted indexing.
Thanks for saying riveting, by the way.
It's riveting. Everyone is going to be so excited. So before we start the riveting conversation, Ty, we can do a couple of things. We can talk about top secret stuff you're working on. And because we have a handful of people watching, we can reminisce about our days when we grew up in Northern California, or actually, we have more than a few people watching. So
do we have more than a few? Okay.
Yeah, we're so happy that people are here with us. And Ty, this is your third live stream. And Ty, you were part of our first experiment. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Yes.
A lot of computer glitches and all that kind of stuff in our first sort of go around. But you know, we've gotten better, right?
Yes, here we are. We're early. So
and now I have a year's worth of experience on video conferencing.
Yes. And okay, so when we talked before, you were remodeling. Did you finish?
All the remodeling's done. We had one small glitch. The new countertops came cracked and we had to go get that replaced. And that took us about a year in sort of the pandemic sort of craziness that is construction in Utah. But yeah. So.
Okay, so for our fans that are watching and they want to have us talk about more than our personal lives, how about, and for people that are joining, we are so excited to be here. NGS is a conference that's going on, and we are going to stream with them and all of our friends here on Facebook and YouTube. We'd love to know where you're joining us from. And we will get started with Ty at 4 talking about computer assisted indexing and any other product secrets he's willing to share. And I think, tell us like a little bit about your background and what you do at FamilySearch. That should be riveting.
Yeah. So I do everything from the acquisition of records to the publication of records online. That's my job. So we know records is sort of the foundation, and I say this for our NGS audience, Wendy, because they're very familiar with records, and records are sort of the foundation of genealogy. Mm-hmm. And so FamilySearch is literally, as you know, we have about 340 not million, 340. I deal with millions a lot. 340 cameras all over the globe that sort of collect records from various different countries. And probably there's a camera near you, especially if you're in a foreign country, and collecting the records. So we do that, but then we also provide the catalog metadata that allows you to search them on Explore images. And then the second thing is within the catalog, and then we index them and we provide them to users through record search. So my job is to be the product manager or the portfolio director or whatever you want to call it, that manages sort of the technology that's associated with all that.
Okay, so I like how you did a lot of this. And how long have you been at FamilySearch?
I have been at FamilySearch for 15 years now.
15 years, okay.
And I've done a lot of different things at FamilySearch. So,
and you are part of the group that has insight into the direction of where we're going, right?
Especially for records, especially for records.
Okay. And I'm just making sure that our contacts at NGS.
By the way, Wendy, how long have you been with FamilySearch?
5 years, 2015, almost 6 years, 5.5 years. And I've just the entire time worked in marketing, and basically I love talking about FamilySearch and stories.
And you do a really good job of it. And in my case, I spent time doing what I'm doing now, originally.
Mhm.
And then they moved me into the international group, and I worked internationally for 4 or 5 years, and then they brought me back to this. So it's been good. It's been exciting. So
Okay.
it's been
And so
exciting
when
all
you
the time.
started 15 years ago, what did Family Search look like?
Well, so FamilySearch was just starting to do indexing back then, right? And we can talk a little bit about this later, but indexing was just starting to come together. The problem is we couldn't get images from the field into indexing and then out to record search. And so my first job was to sort of do that, and to work with all the engineering teams and operational teams to sort of make that all happen. That was my first job at FamilySearch,
Wow.
and yeah, FamilySearch has been a good gig for Ty. It's been good.
Good. Okay. And we are just a few minutes out, and we are going to start with talking, I think, innovations around records and computer assisted indexing. And if you have questions, let us know. And I'm just verifying that the group at NGS has what they need. I haven't heard that they don't. So we'd love to know what classes or sessions, for those of you attending NGS, what you're enjoying and watching. Ty, did you participate in RootsTech?
I did.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
So we were primarily in the partner session, and we did see a computer assisted indexing class in there. And this one's going to be a little different, but we're going to show in this NGS Facebook, we're going to demonstrate computer assisted indexing for everybody. So, and I got to stop doing this because I love
it. And I just got note that we are 5 minutes after the hour. So that's when we'll have you demo. But before, do you want to tell us some of the things that you're working on that maybe are exciting, that our super fans who've joined us early would like to hear about?
So the number one thing we're trying to do is trying to get records to users faster, both in both in terms of images and in terms of indexes. And a lot of what we're going to talk about computer assisted indexing is about making images faster. But some of the cool things that we're doing is around the catalog and explore images, right? So images used to take months to get online, maybe even close to a year, and now takes less than 24 hours, which is awesome, right? Yeah. And we're also sort of trying to get most of what a lot of people talk about know as our catalog, which is sort of the holding of everything we have at FamilySearch. We're trying to make that much more accessible and the metadata much more accurate for people and much more consistent to find the records that they need to find on our website. And so that's sort of the new stuff that's coming up that we'll talk about. We'll get more at Facebook NGS conference stuff maybe next year, but that's the next thing. And the second thing is, and this is the part we have to be really quiet, we're getting really, really close on the vault.
Okay.
So that's just,
I'm leaning in.
That's right. We're getting really, really close on the vault. So, which I think will get anybody that knows, we've been doing microfilming for a really long time, and we're getting very, very close to sort of finishing that microfilm effort. And we're really excited about the completion of that 12-year project. So
12 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So, and I may not have my numbers correct on that one. So don't print me on that one. But it is sort of a long time sort of coming. And we've been digitizing images out of microfilm for a long, long time. You know, Wendy, we've been collecting records since I think 1930 or something like that on microfilm. Isn't that insane?
It's we are in our 126th or 127th year.
And I'm not even that old.
Right? It is fascinating when you think about the collection of records. I was just reading an article today that talked about the importance of journaling and how, like, this idea of record keeping is
Mhm.
something that, and it's something that we've always, appreciated. And it's just gems when you find people's records and journals, and thinking about doing it as a practice, I think is really,
Well, and you've had the books and journals product on this
yes. Yeah,
before, right?
we've had, yep.
And what a wonderful project, really. I mean, getting all those people's like documented genealogies and journals and things like that, so that you can go find them forever.
Mhm, mhm,
That's just, I mean, and it means people's lives matter and their contributions matter, and
mhm.
they didn't write it down by mistake, right?
Right.
Right? They didn't. They wrote it down so that we could remember them and so we can learn from their lives, right?
Mhm.
And so I just think that project's a wonderful project, and hopefully someday soon we'll be able to make it even more available to people, make it faster available.
It,
But
it, it's one of the things that I think is a real treasure. And okay, so as we're still waiting because we're still not live with NGS, but talk to us about all the different places on FamilySearch where people can find records, because I think that's always interesting.
yeah, so you can actually find them in multiple ways, and this is actually an important one. One is the catalog, and in the catalog, it's a little different than some of the other pieces. In the catalog, you get it by subject heading,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes those subject headings that say, so like, I'm looking for birth records in a particular locality. You can search it by subject record, and you can find images there, but you won't find a fully indexed record. They're in there, those fully indexed records, and you can go in there. But the other thing is that catalog has sort of everything that we have, right? So everything that we have is in the catalog. So that's the benefit of the catalog. The second thing is the second place is in Explore Images.
Mhm.
Okay, and Explore Images takes everything that's in the catalog and makes it searchable, just sort of like all those search engines that allow you to search images. It's sort of the same experience. So
Mhm.
you search the detailed metadata to scope it down, and we're trying to bring a lot of more innovation to there, so we get smaller and smaller groups of images that people are looking at. So that's the second one. The third one is record search,
Mhm.
which is what most people use because it's where the records that have been transcribed or indexed have been put, right? Where people have actually typed out the text that is on the record, so you can search it. And so that's the one that people use a lot,
Yeah.
right? It's the one that gets used a lot. And then the fourth one is books, our
Mm.
books product, right? And that's where we scan in books that, compiled works by people, compiled genealogies, all that sort of thing gets sort of compiled into books, and you can go look for it there. So I guess there's a fifth one too, which
Yeah.
is what we call our compiled genealogies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a section called compiled genealogies, which has some professional like genealogies in it, and some oral genealogies in it. So they're scattered around our site, but they're intended to direct you to the content that you need.
Mm-hmm. And maybe one of the projects is bringing it all together at some point. Yeah.
But yeah, by the way, have you heard about our oral gen? Have you talked about our oral gen
No,
project on
talk a
here?
little bit about that. We've got 2 minutes, so tell us about that.
So I'm just trying to remember the milestone that we went through. Do you remember the milestone, Wendy? I think it's like 150 million people that we started collecting in Africa. Um, and they sort of just recently reached that milestone today or in the last week. And so we've been collecting, and we go into little villages and speak with a oral history person within the village that's been keeping the identified historian, if you will, for that village, been keeping the names of the people through the centuries and then passing them down. And we go and we do a little audio recording, and we take pictures of the video of the village, and we type out the genealogies so that people can go in and if you have African heritage and you know the village you come from, then you can go and find that experience. And so we just, and that's all in that sort of genealogy section of FamilySearch. And we're about to put a lot more of those up online. So,
oh, that's exciting. And I think
yeah.
that's what's always interesting. Always come back to FamilySearch, see what records have been added, see what's been indexed. And I think we are almost ready to go straight into computer. Let's talk about, I think, really innovations in records at FamilySearch. And
Okay.
Ty, thank you for joining us. And those who are watching and joining us from NGS, we're happy to have you here. And we love to connect with our other genealogists and researchers and people all over the world. So welcome. Okay, Ty, talk to us about innovations in records at FamilySearch.
Yeah, so let's talk about indexing for just a second.
Okay.
So, the biggest change that's coming in FamilySearch is indexing. And do you know how long we've been indexing, Wendy?
Well, since you've been here.
Well, yeah. So actually, it goes before that, right?
Okay, 20 years?
It goes back to what we used to call Universal Data Extraction, or UDE, back in the 80s.
Oh my goodness.
And we would literally have people write on cards what they saw in the records. And it was a physical process. And we went back to like early 80s, and we were doing that. But you know how many centers we had in North America that were just extracting records by hand?
How many?
650.
Really?
Yeah.
And volunteers were there.
They were all volunteers. And the beauty of this is that, as just like all of FamilySearch has always done, it's always been a community-based effort, right? And all that sort of manual effort got computerized in 1989. So people started moving those onto computer in 1989, and it was a huge sort of breakthrough that we went digital, and that started leading to these indexes that were available on a product called CD-ROM. If you remember what CD-ROM was.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Of course.
And so, like in 1998, we released the British Census. We released the Pedigree Resource File in 1999, and in 2001, we released the Freedom and Bank records, all from that sort of universal data entry system. Okay, and it took us quite a while to get that done. But then in 2007, what you love and remember is this web indexing product, and that we're sort of well known for. We have about 350,000 volunteers. We've done about 500 million images on the indexing.
500 million.
Yeah, and you know what? Last year during the pandemic was sort of a breakthrough year for us in many ways. So because people were at home and there was a big invitation and that sort of thing, we had about 374,000 volunteers that participated during the pandemic. But what's unique with us is those volunteers have traditionally been pretty much just North American volunteers. We've had about 350, anywhere from about 290 to 350 volunteers every year for a long time. But about 43% of those last year were international for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, so about 160,000 of them were international. And that was huge for us because we've not had that much international participation in all those different languages, and all that role was primarily international. During a pandemic year, when people were trying to figure out what to do with their lives while they sat at home, they were indexing. That was great news, huh?
Remarkable. And we're getting a couple of requests, like they think your mic is a little quiet.
So let me see if I can get the mic closer to my mouth.
That's better. It's already better what you just did.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem. My mic isn't as close as I need it to be. And I think that's happened a couple times on this program where my voice hasn't been very high. And I think it has to do with my mic.
Okay.
Is that better?
I think that's better. And
let me make sure your audience confirms that it's better for you.
And we heard the doorbell, so I think it's better.
Maybe I ought to mute just a bit.
No. This is interesting. I'm not totally confirmed that the NGS group has access. So apologies for looking away at my phone as I'm doing it. Yes.
Well, let's get them on. They are on,
Volume's better. Yep.
and the volume is better. That's good.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So let's
Well, I
just keep
apologize, everybody. I apologize, everybody. That voice wasn't very good. So the other thing, but web indexing sort of culminated
going.
in about 10 years ago, in the
10.
1940 Census Community Project. Do you
Okay.
remember? You weren't here because you're just 5 years. Well, that was a great project. We had lots of societies and organizations like you find at NGS that were involved in it. We did 797 million records, and it only took us 5 months to do the 1940 census.
Wow.
Because we had so many people that wanted to come and participate. And it was just a tremendous community event. Lots of libraries, lots of individuals just came, and organizations came in and provided the first early transcription of the 1940 census. And web indexing has been going strong. And again, you can find all that data right on RecordSearch right now.
Okay.
You know, we have about 5.4 billion records on FamilySearch. RecordSearch right now that are searchable, about 8.7 billion names.
Wow. I mean, these are just phenomenal numbers.
They're just like mind-boggling, right? 3,000 collections, and we're putting about 300 million records per year more online.
100 million records per year.
So it has just been a fantastic product. It is, and again, it's all community driven. It's all volunteers, and it's a tremendous asset for us as FamilySearch to be part of, for all those that sort of participate in indexing. It is wonderful, and it continues to be a wonderful product for us at FamilySearch. But we have one problem.
Okay.
So how many images do you think we have, Wendy?
We have way more images than we have.
So remember, we've put about 1.4 billion images that have been indexed at this point. So 1.4 billion images that have been indexed, or images that have been indexed. We have 4.5 billion
that haven't been indexed.
That haven't been indexed.
Oh my goodness. And
because most of them are international, and most of our volunteers are still speak English, it's gonna start slowing us down. So we think it's gonna take us about it took us about 14 years, or give or take a year, to do the 1.4. We think it's going to take us about 170 years to do the additional 3 billion records.
Yeah, that's okay. So you have an answer that isn't that, right?
And by the way, because we're capturing millions of images per year, that means it grows somewhere between 10 and 20. 10 that backlog grows 10 years to 20 years.
There's your doorbell again.
Yeah, there's my doorbell again. 10 to 20 years every year. That backlog grows 10 to 20. There's my doorbell again. That causes 10 to 20 years every year. And that's because it takes us like 2 years to get something to indexed.
Wow. Okay, so this is impossible to do. So you have.
So how do we do it? How do we
do it? Show us.
Okay. So let me show you. Let me just show you computer assisted indexing. Okay. And you have to remember that computer assisted indexing doesn't throw away the volunteers in any way, shape, or form. They don't disappear. It just accelerates them. That's all it does. And so a lot of people think, well, the computer's going to take over. No, it's not. It's not going to take over at all. It's just going to make it easier for our volunteers.
And quicker.
And if you think about it, there's two things that the volunteers do. They find and put in digital text the data, so they actually type in the words that they see on the image, and then they actually tell us what that text is. So it tells us that they're the person that was born, or they're the father, or they're the mother, or that sort of thing. And so when we talk about computer assisted indexing, you got to do both things. It's not that you can do one or the other. You got to do both, right? So let me show you an example of that. Okay. And let me see if I can share my screen here.
And just a warm welcome to our NGS friends who are watching. We're happy to have you here.
So can you see that, Wendy?
Yes.
So this is a prototype. So let's hope it works. Cross our fingers that it works, right? So just so you know, that's a prototype. But you can see some of the examples that we do through computer-assisted indexing. Here's an English example. And you can see how it's gone through and transcribed the text on the image.
Mhm.
And you can see that it's gone through, and all the orange places are places. All the green things on here are people. And it hasn't found any dates on this particular one, but it has found places and things. And then you can go into like a Spanish baptism and look at all those people, places, and dates that come through, right, for those. And each one of these is like a little baptismal record if you can read Spanish. Do you read Spanish, Wendy? I don't.
No. Mm-mm.
But
This-
you
the
can see
handwriting.
how it found this particular person. On this date, so and so was baptized, and so that's great. And who they were and their mother and parents. So should we try it on the fly,
Yes.
Wendy? Should we actually give it a shot? Okay,
Yes.
so let me try it myself, and I'm going to choose a image right off my hard drive.
Okay.
I'm going to do a New York deed for fun, because and so here's this New York deed that was done. And these are some of the languages that we support right now. So Norwegian, German, Chinese. And so let me just try English here for just a second. So this is going to take a little bit. So this is where we do.
And I think the last time you showed us, it didn't have all the different colors. So tell us again what the colors. So
what the colors mean?
Yeah.
So like blue means that it's a date that it's found.
Okay.
Orange means that it's a place.
Okay.
And green, if I get my colors right, because I need to see my little, and green is a person.
Okay.
A name of a person. And the computer basically, what it's doing right now is it's breaking up all the little lines so that it can read the text. Because a computer has to sort of do what humans do, like we do naturally, right? The computer has to be taught it to do it. So like you have to say, the computer has to go through and find out where each one of those lines are on the image, right? And then it's got to read each one of the lines and create text out of it, computer text. And then once it does that computer text, it has to go through and find all the places where there's a person, a place, and a thing. And so this takes just a minute for it to go through that process. And it takes about 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes about a minute. And it really depends, Wendy, on how dense the text is on the text. So there you go. So this is not smoke and mirrors. This is true. And you can look at it on this image. And you can see that it found the blue, which is a date, an orange, which is a place. Like, see, this is if you look at this city, it says the city of New York. Found the city of New York. And you see in the year of our Lord, 1856. And so it found that date right here, right? And then it also found this person. Do you see this? And Merrick, and it found all that information right in this document, and then it highlights it all. So here's another person, Thomas Adams. And just want to be clear, I prepped this by pulling an image, but this is really a computer actually doing the work.
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't prep this. I didn't go and put orange and yellow and blue boxes on this. The computer actually put these on each time. And so you can see how, like, if a volunteer were to come in, right? Because there's some mistakes in here. If you can read this text, if you can read this text and read it closely, you'll see this right here, for example. It's supposed to say assigns, but so sometimes it makes mistakes. Sometimes, like right here, it couldn't figure out the word at all, right? Look at this, there's a mistake here. And so we need some of that cleaned up, right? Fortunately, it found all the names right. It found most of the places. It found the dates correctly in the text. See all this, here's what we were looking at, April 17th, 1852. With a Justice of Peace, Alan Reed, in the year of our Lord, 846, Anne Warwick, in the city of New York, Whittam. It found all that and made it so it's findable. It's findable, but we need volunteers to sort of clean it up when it doesn't do it correctly, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the volunteers come on, right? Is they can literally type into one of these cells and make a change, right?
Yes.
And improve the and make it even more searchable, make it even more findable, make it even more usable for users. So that's a real image. Do you want to try Chinese, Wendy?
I think we must.
I pulled a Chinese image just because I wanted to show everybody
Okay.
our Chinese capabilities.
Yes.
So this is a Chinese image, and I picked Chinese, and this is a pretty easy one. It's a block print.
Okay.
Very popular in Asian genealogies.
Mhm.
And so and this one won't take nearly as long. At least I hope it won't take nearly as long.
Okay.
And I don't read it, so I can't go through it nearly as easy.
We don't know. We have a question about the colors. This is from Becky. And is the color code going to be on all the FamilySearch images?
You know, I don't know what we're going to do for color code when we get this. We're going to release about 200 million of these in the Spanish baptisms this year, Spanish church baptisms. And you'll see some of that color coding come through. And it will be very similar to this, but we'll put on this key for you to see it.
Wow, that was so fast.
That was a lot faster because the information isn't quite as dense for it to go through it. And so it did find, you know, people, it did find some places, it did find some dates. And so, yeah, that's the Asian one. And I have others in Welsh and stuff like that, because I do Welsh, because it's not surprising to you genealogists out there, Davies is from Wales. That's not a joke, right? So that's computer assisted indexing. And so, like I said, we're going to do about 200 million of them. About 20 million of them have already been published on our website, and you'll see it there.
And how do people know if it's been indexed or it's part of the computer assisted indexing?
That's a really good question. There's a way. So when you go into a record, you know, on record search, you see sort of, well, let me just show you.
Yeah, let's show us. And we have about, I think, 3 more minutes with our NGS crowd. So
okay, well, let me just show you everybody this. So when you come into search for a record, and I didn't prep this part, so you'll have to.
Yeah, that's okay. We're just watching.
Everybody will have to be. Just know that I didn't do this live, and so let me go look for my great-grandfather my grandfather Russell Davies. And when you come in here, but when you come into this page, and this one doesn't happen to be a one that was done by computer, what you'll see is something on here that says there'll be a little header that says this one was done by computer. Okay. On this page, you'll see a little header on here that says this, and this is the way that you would improve that record, right? Is you come in here and you can edit a name, you can edit a place, but in the future, and this is sort of a little secret, it's going to get more robust. So you can, as we get more and more of these records out there, so that people can edit a lot more data on and improve the record a lot more in the near future when they go on there. So.
Oh, Ty, that was awesome. Let's end with one common question.
Okay.
And I think you get this all the time, probably when you present, but how would you direct people when they're wondering about records for certain projects or geographies, when they say, when are you going to get records for, you know, this location or for this?
This is a really popular question.
Yes.
Because the truth of the matter is we send out if you go to media.familysearch.org, you'll see on that website all the new collections that are coming out, right? You'll see that. You go to media.familysearch.org. We publish an email and a news article every week that telling us what new collections. That's the fastest way to find them, okay? And then the second way is you can always go into the catalog, because like I told you, it's in the catalog, it's in image search, it's on Explore Images. So those are some of the new fastest ways to find the latest collections on FamilySearch. Okay.
Okay, that's awesome. And then you don't have the answers as far as, oh, we're going to go index this part of the world
I don't have, because there's negotiations that go on there. We have to negotiate the archives and things like that. There's not I can't give you a forecast that we're going to be in Germany. We are in Germany, but I can't tell you we're going to be in Germany or what countries we're going to be.
Yeah.
Because there's a negotiation that goes on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a process that has to happen to make sure that cameras get done.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some time, but we are trying to get to more and more places all over the globe and trying to accelerate our records capture. So.
Well, thank you for joining us and for providing such fun. And
it was fun again, Wendy.
It was fun again. Yes. We're here all the time. We need to do this more.
If I could just get my microphone closer to my mouth, that would be fun.
Yeah, you did great. To our NGS friends, thank you. Enjoy the conference, and we'll see everybody else. Actually, we're streaming tomorrow with Savannah from the library, and we're talking about some things from the Family History Library. So more records. Thank you, Ty. Thanks, everybody.